There we go. Alrighty, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me. It's your host, Nighty Jester. We're going through hero number 8 in our Sentinels of the Multiverse Enhanced Edition core box. Going through every hero in the game, starting with the core box. Hero number 8 is one of my favorites, Raw. For some reason, I've always gravitated to this character. I'm not saying he's the best or anything like that, but I usually try to, play him once in a while. It's because a lot of the other characters we've talked about, like the Wraith, Fanatic and stuff, a lot of people like to gravitate to them, so I always got stuck playing somebody else. So I'm like, oh, I'll play Raw. And it was fun. I enjoyed playing Raw. And you might too. So let's take a look at him. Hero number 8. Again, he doesn't have any group affiliation, so he's not with anyone. I will show you his background. And again, if you're on YouTube, you can pause this later. To read all this good information. Great stuff. All right. So Ra is going to be the god of thunder. The god of fire. That's what I meant to say. All right, so let's take a look at Ra and his cards and see what he does. The mighty Ra, god of the sun, 30 hit points. Pyre, power. Ra deals 1 target, 2 fire damage. So he starts off with a nice power damage card. His defeated side says 1 hero may use a power, put an environment card in play on the bottom of the environment deck, or destroy an ongoing card. All those are really good powers, to be honest. Let's look at his variants. Variant number 1 is Ra, Horus of 2 Horizons. Sunrise, power, draw 3 cards, discard 2 cards, 29 hit points. All right. And his defeated side, 1 player may draw a card, destroy an ongoing card, move a card from the villain trash to the top of the villain deck. All right, and next variant, Ra Setting Sun, 28 hit points, Blaze of Glory. Ra deals each non-hero target and himself 2 irreducible fire damage. Destroy one of your ongoing cards. Remove the top 2 cards of your deck and trash from the game. Wow, that is very aggressive power there. Irreducible damage to himself and other allies, not bad. Or other enemies. But removing 2 cards from your deck from the game can be very, that's all of his variants. In the base box, of course, you only get the original variants. And some of the expansions, they release some of the other variants. And you can buy the variant pack. But they all use the same deck. 15 cards in his deck. Let's take a look at them. Blazing Tornado. Ongoing limited. Raw deals 1 target, 3 fire damage. Very straightforward. Nice power, does more power than his base card, which does 2 damage, so a little bit of an upgrade. 2 cards of this in his deck. Next up, 2 cards. Drawn to the Flames. Ongoing. Raw deals each non-hero target X fire damage, which X is the number of villain ongoing cards in play. If you get a villain that puts out lots of different cards, this can be very, very powerful. So lots of good damage there. Drawn to the Flame, 2 copies. Excavation, 1 shot. Put up to 3 cards from the environment trash on the bottom of the environment deck. You may draw as many cards as you moved this way. So this is a very niche power. I'm not even sure why you'd want to do that. But, being able to draw cards, so put 3 cards from the environment trash at the bottom of their deck so they don't have to reshuffle. I know there's a couple characters or a couple villains that if the villain trash is reshuffled, they heal and stuff like that. So maybe that comes into play once in a while, but you're basically just putting cards back in the environment deck so you can draw cards. Mostly. 2 copies of that. Fire Blast. There's 3 copies of this card. It's a one-shot rod, deals 1 target 5 fire. Again, anything 5 or more damage is excellent damage. 5 or more, not bad. 3 copies of this card. Nicely done. We love that. Flame Barrier, ongoing limited. The first time Raw is dealt damage by a target. Each turn, Raw deals that target 2 fire damage. Very good card. Every time Raw takes damage, boom, hits it back. And he usually, he can be at the top of the hit points. So a lot of enemies will target the person with the most hit points. So he gets to retaliate and do damage to them. Free damage, always good. Flame Barrier, great card. Flame Spike, one shot, raw, deals 1 target, 1 fire damage, and you may use an additional power this turn. So this is good once you get a couple powers out. Gives you a little bit of damage and allows you to do 2 powers. Great power. Great card. Flesh of the Sun God, there is 3 cards. Ongoing. Raw is immune to fire damage. And you're going to see why that's important in a little bit. Power. Hero character cards are immune to fire damage until the start of your turn. So there is a niche ability with this card again, where if you're fighting someone or can change what kind of damage they do, then Raw can make everyone immune to fire damage. So if you can change the villain damage to fire and then Raw makes everyone immune to fire, they basically nerf them into the ground. So it is very niche ability depending on which characters he's with, but still, Raw is immune to fire damage, which can come into play every once in a while where enemies will do an explosive damage on you and do fire damage, and you just don't take that damage. And so, never a bad thing to have this card in play. Imbued Fire, 2 copies of this card. Ongoing limited, increase fire damage by 1, so you can only have 1 of these cards in play, but do extra damage. Change the damage type of damage dealt by hero targets to fire. Now, because of this card, and specifically because of this card, Raw doesn't want to go with other heroes. Or other heroes don't want to go with Raw, however you want to look at it. Absolute Zero, who wants to change fire damage into cold damage so that he can heal himself. If it changes back into fire damage, that would be bad. And I think this would override what Absolute Zero changes fire into cold and then heals himself. I think, yeah. So there's other heroes that get bonuses to, like Knife does extra damage with energy damage. So she wants to do energy damage. If he's changing into fire, she doesn't get her bonus. So Raw doesn't work really good with characters that want to do their own specific damage. Well, this card doesn't work well. But Raw wants to put this card in play because it increases all his fire damage by 1. So picking characters to go with Raw can be a challenge sometimes. Or you punish Raw because Raw can't use this card and doesn't get his bonus. So, yeah, it's a 2-edged sword with Raw. That's the way fire is, man. All right, 3 cards. Inferno, 1 shot. Raw deals 1 target, 3 damage. Again, if he has his imbued fire, he would be doing 4 damage. Raw deals up to 5 other targets, 1 fire damage each. Again, boom. If he has this in play, it's 2. You can see how much damage Raw does to get this card in play. So, yeah, that's how important it is. And we'll see something else here in a minute. So Inferno is a great card. Absolutely powerful. A lot of damage. can spread the damage around, hits multiple targets, and does one big shot as well. So great card. Living Conflagration. Ongoing, when this card enters play, raw deals a target 2 fire damage. So good, put it into play, deals some damage. Again, fire damage, so it can be bumped up by his imbued fire. And then raw deals 1 target, 1 fire damage, and you can draw a card. Not the greatest power in the world, but I've seen worse. You know, if you're activating several powers each turn, you know, you might as well have this one in play. It's not a bad card. Nothing wrong with it. Scorched Earth, Fire. Scorched Earth, Fire? What? Scorched Earth is the card, is what I meant to say. 1 shot. There's 3 copies. Raw deals each non-hero target X fire damage, where X is the number of environment cards in play. You have a nasty environment. It's got 5 cards in play. He's doing 5 fire damage. That's not bad. To everything. Everything. Including the environment, though. So, Scorched Earth. Good title for this card. Great artwork, by the way. Solar Flare. Now, this is his trouble card. So, let's talk about, there's 2 copies in this. So, we're going to talk about this card for a little bit. Solar Flare. Ongoing. Increased damage dealt by raw by 2. We just talked about how important it is that he gets his fire. He can do so much damage if he gets his bonuses going. But at the end of your turn, raw deals himself 4 psychic damage. If he doesn't take damage this way, this card is destroyed. He can do a ton of damage by getting this card into play, but he's going to be killing himself quickly. 4 damage is nothing to laugh at. He's got no... I don't recall any, trying to think if he's got damage. I don't think he has any kind of damage reduction. So if Raw can go with a character that can give him some kind of damage reduction, right? That's great. And notice he's not doing himself fire damage. He's doing psychic damage. The reason that's important is because he can be immune to fire damage, right? So if he's doing 4 fire damage to himself, he wouldn't take any damage. Well, no, but this is a huge amount of damage. This is one of these cards you want to play in for a round or 2 and get that extra 2 points. You can do, just think of it, right? You got this card in play, you put this card in play, and then you do your Inferno. That's going to deal 1 target 6 damage, and 5 other targets 4 damage. That is 26 points of damage on just this card alone. So yeah, Raw can do a ton of damage if he does it. But again, you can't leave this out there forever. But in the right situation, you put this on for a round or 2, take some damage, especially if one of the other characters can play their card where all allies don't take damage. Or put some kind of damage reduction on you for a round. You have to be able to take damage, though, so they can't, nullify all, heroes can't take damage, doesn't work. But if you can have, a power that, reduce damage by 2 or 3 would be great. Something like that. Would be perfect for him. And the other thing, which is kind of a niche power or a niche situation, is Inferno. A lot of his things, it will do fire damage, which we know. But don't forget, we've already talked about this, but Absolute Zero wants to be hit by fire damage so he can redirect it out as cold damage. So there's nothing that says that Raw can't use his powers to damage Absolute Zero and do the damage to Absolute Zero. Absolute Zero then turns that power, adds his code bonus, and does it again to somebody else. So there is that niche combination as well. Summon Staff. There are four copies of this card. Summon Staff. It's a one-shot. Search your deck for the Staff of Ra and put it into your hand. Shuffle your deck. Draw a card. Draw a card. I'm sorry. Play a card. Draw a card and then play a card. That's really good power. You want to cycle this in. Get your Staff, obviously, which we're going to look at right now. The Staff of Ra. When this card enters plays, Ra regains 3 hit points. Great. A nice amount. 3 hit points. And then, yes, it increases damage dealt by Ra by 1. Now, this is all damage. This is not fire damage. This is all damage. So, this also will come into play with his Solar Flare when he deals himself, because that's psychic damage. He will still bump up instead of dealing himself 4 damage. He will increase that to 5 damage. Ouch. But the Staff of Ra, when this card enters play, regains some hit points, which is not bad. Increased damage by 4 for Ra by 1. And then it has a power. Ra deals 1 target, 3 projectile damage, and you destroy this card. Why would you want to destroy this card? Well, because if you got another copy in your hand, there's 4 copies of this card. Or if you got a copy of Summon Staff in your hand, you can basically just cycle, lose 8 cards, and just keep cycling your Staff in and out, 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 and keep regaining hit points, which is huge, which makes the Solar Flare, where you're damaging yourself by 4, not that bad if you can heal yourself by 3 every turn. So there is that. If you get, you have your Summon Staff cards, you have your Staff, you have your Solar Flare, put your Staff in play. Use your Solar Flare, summon your Staff to get another copy and another copy and another copy. Keep putting your Staff of Ra in to heal yourself, which makes, that Solar Flare not as punishing anymore. And doing the extra 2 points of damage, again, we looked at, is huge for Ra. The problem with this cycling in is you have to use your card play for this. So if you've got other heroes that can allow other heroes to play a card and you can get Ra to do this not on his turn, that is the perfect time to do that. And it's also a relic, so when we look at Fanatic and he wipes the board clean, the Staff of Ra does not leave, which is super cool. So it'll stay in play because it is a relic card. It is limited, so you can only obviously have one in there. And last but not least, Wrathful Gaze. It's an ongoing destroy 1 target with 2 or fewer hit points. I mean, it's okay. I mean, it's a very niche power. I wouldn't worry too much about this one, obviously, but it's fine card. There's nothing wrong with it. So that is Ra, and yeah, he's got, as you can see, between Inferno, 3 copies of Inferno. Very nice amount of damage. He can make himself immune to fire damage, which is nice. Deal a little bit of damage and use an extra power. He doesn't have that many other powers, but a few of them that he can use every once in a while. Like this one, doing an 3 extra points of damage. Not bad. Destroying your card, using your Staff to summon it again. Yeah, he's a really good Fire Blast, which does 5 damage by itself. You add Imbued Fire, which makes it 6 damage. You throw in a Solar Flare, which makes it 8 damage. And there's 3 copies of that. That's a lot of damage Ra can do. You get Inferno with his Imbued Fire out there and his Solar Flare. Again, tons of damage. I wouldn't, again, very risky to play the Solar Flare for more than a turn or 2. Unless you have a way to get the Staff, get some card draw, get a couple copies of the Staff of Ra in your hand, get a couple copies of Summon Staff in your hand, get some nice card draw. I think he's got one of his powers gives him a card draw. Oh, maybe it's one of his variants. So very kind of straightforward, damage dealing character, powers himself up, takes care of himself. If he doesn't use the solar flare at all, if he doesn't worry about that, he's still super powerful because he can heal himself. 4 copies of the staff. He can go and get the staff with this card, and there's 4 copies of that. So he should be able to get a staff pretty early on. And once he gets a staff, going to be doing extra damage. Just energizing himself and healing himself. And he's a really good damage dealer. I love to bring him in with all different kinds of characters. Like I said, he doesn't want to work with certain people, so don't bring him in, or don't bring those characters when you're taking Raw. They just don't work well together. If he needs to change all the fire types into fire damage, if your hero wants to do other kinds of damage than fire damage, they don't work well with Raw. Or he just doesn't get the chance to do this. But that extra point of damage, plus this extra point of damage from Staff of Raw, is 2 extra points of damage. Combine that with the Solar Flare, that's 4 extra points of damage on all of his super good powers already. You can see this guy does a ton of damage if you let him power up and get there. You gotta let him power up and get there, and he will do a good thing. And the Flame Barrier, every time someone hits him, 2 fire damage. Oh wait, that 2 fire damage is turning into 3 fire damage. Oh wait, that 3 fire damage is turning into 4 fire damage. Oh, that 4 fire damage is turning into 6 fire damage. 6 fire damage for somebody hitting you is, Raw would stand there and be like, shoot me, everyone, shoot me. I'm here, shoot me. If he's doing 6 points as retaliation damage, that is insane. And then if you can imagine Legacy, which is bumping up Raw, right? Legacy can use his galvanized power to give all heroes +1 to their damage, and then give them another invigorating strike, which gives them another +1. So Legacy might be giving Raw +2 to his damage already. You can see, oh my God, Raw is a huge damage dealer, very straightforward, very easy to play. Get a couple powers. You want to get his staff if you can. Get the imbued fire, and then just start hitting things. Boom, 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 boom. And have fun. He's a great character, really fun to play. Highly recommend him. Good times, good times. Good morning, Cardboard Commander. What's going on? Yeah, when Ruff said to find an opponent that likes to lose. Oh, that was very mean. I didn't say that, by the way. I did not say that. I said nice things about you. I said, being able to find someone that plays the style and, the same way as you want to play. All right, well, that is Raw. Great character. Highly recommend. Give him a shot. He is... You can go with just about everyone. Again, he's unaffiliated with the group, so he doesn't go with, he doesn't have like a group he likes to hang around with. He can go with lots of other characters. Just make sure the characters that you bring don't want to do a specific kind of damage, because if Raw has his way, they're all going to be doing fire damage. So, extra point of damage doesn't sound like a lot, but when he's doing 5 targets, 1 damage, turns into 5 targets, 2 damage. That's an extra 5 points of damage. Your character better just go along with the fire damage, because Raw will see you through to the end. Raw will just blast all the enemies into oblivion. All right, well, there you go with our hero number 8 of our tutorial series. Thanks, everyone, for coming out today. We do appreciate it. It's great to see everyone out there. Hopefully you're having a good day, and hopefully we'll continue this series with the next character. And until then, my friends, you take care of yourself, and we'll see you soon. Have a good day, and don't forget, we'll see you all down the line. Take care, everybody. Have a good day. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.